A provocative and, well, somewhat frightening look into the lives of teenagers. Information that parents should hear about what your kids could be doing without your knowledge. So we want to warn you, some of this information that you're about to hear is graphic, so you may want younger children to leave the room right now, as our senior national correspondent Claire Shipman reports on a growing trend in teen sexuality. Claire?
You know, Robin, so many of us look back on our teenage dates and remember being nervous about that goodnight kiss. Well, these days teens aren't nervous about that sort of thing at all because they've moved far beyond it, far earlier than their parents might expect, with some girls engaging in everything from oral sex to prostitution, literally before they reach their teens. They're typical teenage girls from good middle-class families, but to hear them speak will shock you.
Oral sex to me really isn't that big of a deal.
I ended up having sex with like more than one person that night, and in the morning I was trying to get some morning after pills when I was like 14 at the time.
These girls from affluent suburbs freely and frankly describe their secret lives in a new documentary with a terrifying title, Oral Sex is the New Goodnight Kiss. Canadian filmmaker Charlene Azam spent 4 years gaining their trust. Do you literally think oral sex has become as commonplace as kissing for teens?
If you talk to teens, they'll tell you it's no big deal.
In fact, recent statistics cite that more than half of American teenage girls between the ages of 15 and 19 have engaged in oral sex. But Ms. Azam says those numbers are conservative.
In fact, they don't even consider it sex. They don't consider a lot of things sex, which is how much has changed in just, a generation, where something as intimate as oral sex can be nothing.
What about some eyeshadow or something? Well, you can pick
Her film is a troubling window into a horrifying reality no parent can imagine. Girls as young as 11 or 12 having sex, going to sex parties, and at the most extreme, crossing into prostitution, exchanging sexual favors for money, clothes, even homework, all under their parents' noses, still arriving home in time for dinner.
Parents don't want to know.
They don't want to know. They don't want to know because they don't really know what to do. I mean, you might be prepared to learn that at 12 your daughter has had sex, but what are you supposed to do when your daughter has traded her virginity for $1,000 or a new bag?
5 minutes and I got $100, right? If I'm gonna sleep with one of them anyways because they're good looking, then why not get paid for it, right?
Take off your shirt, I'll give you $20, or do a striptease up on the table, I'll give you $100.
What girls do you think are most at risk?
The prettiest girls from the most successful families. We are not talking about marginalized girls.
I had a really good childhood. Like a really, really good childhood.
Azam says this kind of prostitution, almost always out of sight, is going on in high schools and middle schools throughout the United States. We screened the documentary with a group of teens who said parents would be shocked at how common oral sex has become.
Do you think it could be happening in your school?
Probably.
I think there's very much trading for relationship favors almost, like, you need to do this for me to stay in this relationship.
Do you have friends who might be doing things like this, trading sexual favors?
There's a lot of social pressure, especially because at our age, a lot of girls just want to be in a relationship, I think, and they're willing to do almost anything.
Is somebody a virgin if they've just had oral sex?
I think so. Technically.
I think the role of oral sex, particularly in relationships, is to avoid that whole virginity issue.
Now, do you all share with your parents any of your sexual activities? Do you talk to them about it?
We're not looking for, this is my future husband. At our age, especially, I think all of us, both sexes, we have a lot of urges, I guess, that need to be taken care of. So if we need to resort to a casual thing, no strings attached, it's perfectly fine.
A lot of girls are disappointed in love, and I think they believe that they can hook up the way guys do and not care, but unfortunately they do care.
Well, Claire, a lot of parents are watching this morning and just saying, what if my child is involved in this? How do they know their child is involved?
Well, one suggestion is, just be smart about it. If your daughter's coming home with 10 new sweaters, designer handbags that she can't afford, you can't afford, that's a sign. You have to investigate that stuff. Don't put your head in the sand.
And how can parents get ahead of this?
It's a great question. A lot of the experts we talked with said you have to parent today, Robin, almost double time. Children have so many influences, the internet, videos, that can't be controlled, that if you are not from an early age establishing good communication, rules, boundaries, and if you're not engaged constantly now with your children, they will be at risk.
A tall task, but something that is so incredibly vital, and we're seeing that over and over again. Indeed. Claire, thank you so much for bringing this to us. We certainly do appreciate it. We want to know what you at home think, so please weigh in on our shout-out board at ABC News.